Good day, my name is Jonavon Rustin. I'm the Provincial Secretary of SADTU Western Cape. Today we are overjoyed as we are celebrating 30 years of trade unionism for education. SADTU was formed in 1990 on the 6th of October, and as a young teacher and site steward, I was privileged to be part of the launch conference and indeed honored to hear the inaugural speech of the late President Nelson Mandela. SADTU has grown from strength to strength, having 30,000 members in the formative days to over 260,000 members at present. We have also decided that we need to develop a strategic vision, which we call the 2030 vision of SADTU, where we can enhance and improve the service delivery to our members, also to build a sustainable organization where we can service learners, parents, and the broader community. So therefore, everyone within the education fraternity can celebrate the 30 years of success of the union SADTU, and we want to say, let's grow the union as we move forward in the next decade. Have a wonderful day. Happy birthday, SADTU.
All right, welcome to the Western Cape Teachers Forum, ladies and gentlemen, the platform where we educate to empower and excel. Now, we continue to sympathize with those who have lost loved ones as a result of this pandemic. And we're thinking of you in this time, this very difficult time, as well as the school communities that are affected at this stage. Just yesterday, we have learned of the unfortunate and untimely passing of Mr. Trevor Franke, who was an e-learning advisor at the Metro South Education District. And so our condolences with the bereaved families, as well as their colleagues who worked closely with Mr. Franke. And this morning, of course, Mr. Aubrey De Wet, Circuit Manager in the Metro South Education District, has also gone to be with the Lord. And so we express our sincerest and deepest condolences at this stage with the families affected. And then we've learned an hour or so ago, maybe 2 or 3 hours ago, of Mr. Jackson Ntembu, who was the minister in the presidency. And so our thoughts are once again with the families as well as the colleagues in the government spheres as they make sense of this untimely passing of Mr. Ntembu. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we loaded a video as a tribute to all of our fallen teacher heroes as well as the education sector workers who have gone before us, and unfortunately did not contain every single person that we've lost. And so our request at this stage, if you want them to be included in a follow-up video, which we are working on, please send it via our inbox or email us at wcteachersforum@gmail.com, wcteachersforum@gmail.com. Also, please stay tuned until the end of tonight's program, as we will be entertained by the Rustenburg or Hoërskool Rustenburg School Choir. They from the northwest at the foot of the Magaliesberg. They will perform a very befitting item for all of our families affected at this stage. So stay tuned. I don't want to leave too much out of the bag there. Now, SADTU, or the South African Democratic Teachers Union, is the oldest teachers union in the country and recently celebrated their 30th anniversary, as it was formed on the 6th of October 1990 in Johannesburg. And today, the union is the largest teachers union in the country, and it boasts a membership of more than 250,000 membership across the 9 provinces in our country. And tonight we're speaking to none other than the secretary, or the provincial secretary of SADTU in the Western Cape, Mr. Jonavon Rustin. Good evening to you, Mr. Rustin. How are you doing?
Good evening, Lee. I'm doing well, and thank you for the invitation to the program.
Well, the pleasure is all ours, Jonavon. You don't mind me calling you Jonavon just for the purpose of tonight's interview?
Not at all, not at all.
Perfect. Now, just before we get into the serious questions and the business for tonight's interview, I want to ask you 5 icebreaker questions, just to loosen up the muscles a little bit there. Okay, so question number 1, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, question number 1. Do you have a nickname? If so, what is that?
Well, let me start off by before we get to the fun part, let's express our condolences to all our teachers, non-teaching staff who's passed away, and to Minister Jackson Ntembu, who passed away today. May their souls rest in peace, and we are thinking of the families. If you asking me about my nickname, I have a complicated name, Jonavon. So therefore, I'm called everything: Jonathan, Donovan, Jono, JKR, JR. So I think the most popular nickname is Johnny.
Okay, Johnny. Right. If you were to go to a karaoke evening, what would be your song?
Well, I don't sing very well, but let's say that My Way is the favorite.
All right. Donald Trump's exit yesterday. All right. Thirdly, the name of your first car.
Well, my first car was a Ford XR3,
Wow.
um, a white one with nice mags, and of course, as a young man, uh, it had to have a Pioneer tape with 6x9 speakers in the car. I'm still have memories of my XR3.
Wow, that's the escort. Escort, beautiful. Lastly, have you ever been told that you look like somebody famous?
Well, no. But I've been taken to a number of people everywhere in Cape Town. So I've got a common face, but no one famous. But maybe tonight someone will on the chat box help to educate if I look like someone famous.
100%. So, common face, uncommon name. I like the combination. All right. So, Jonathan, tell me, in terms of the work streams and the service offerings of SADTU being a union, how has the current pandemic affected its work streams? How has it had to change the way in which it goes about its work offerings?
Well, thanks, Lee. Traditionally, we would have all our empowerment programs, training for teachers, whether it's on educational matters, professional development, or on labor relations, would be face to face. We're always proud that we do it free of charge. We pay for the transport of the educators, as well as accommodation, food, and everything. With the advent of COVID, we had to change our operation, and we have to keep track with the um, technological development. So we have our engagements on popular platforms such as Zoom, MS Teams, and send lots of communication via WhatsApp groups. And now lately we have now moved to Telegram. Um, but it's something new, but in one positive aspect is that you are able to reach more people during this particular time. So COVID has taught us that we are able to do it differently. We have to adjust to the new format because at the moment we don't want to be a contributor to any super spreader within the province and within the country.
All right, fantastic. Now, Jonathan, if I were to give you 60 seconds to sell the SADTU.
So SATU is proud that we service members. We are perfect. I don't think any trade union in the country is perfect, but we attempt to service the members to the best of our ability. We have invested a lot of money in training our shop stewards in labor relations and have put them all through diplomas and certification, even some through master's programs in labor relations, so that you're able to share the expertise with members. The union is big. We are proud to always seek mandates from our members. In COVID, it's been very difficult, but I think with Telegram and so forth, you can conduct polls, and that may able to assist. Um, but belonging to a teachers union is very important for any employee.
All right, fantastic. Now, Jonathan, let's talk about the reopening dates that were announced very recently by DBE. Now, I had Mr. David Miller on the program as well as Ella from SACE the other evening and Monday evening. And Naptoza in particular, they questioned the thinking behind the new reopening dates for teachers to return. You would know that the SMT members and the non-teaching staff members in the Western Cape have to report for duty on Monday the 25th, and your teachers on the 1st as well, and then the learners on the 15th. Now, what are your thoughts behind this in terms of the dates?
Well, we think it's a very ill-conceived program, and we've made it clear both in the public. We made it clear to DBE, and most recently, we've made it clear to the head of department in the Western Cape that bringing back educators on the 25th, the SMTs, and then the educators on the 1st is ill-conceived. as educators, we know that we've done our planning in 2020 in December. We have submitted all our documentation via CMIS. So therefore, our schools are ready. What's important is that we rely on the department to ensure they supply all the PPEs, they do all the appointments for those educators in the vacant post. So therefore, we think that it should not have been in this fashion. And I think we are continuing with our discussions with DBE in this regard to say that what are educators going to do at schools or SMTs for 3 weeks at schools? You can do so much administration. What preparation are educators going to do for 14 days at school? We've done our prep. We prepared our lessons at home. We prepared our lessons and our plans before schools close. And we think that it goes against the spirit of the National Corona Command Council that has shifted the date for learners, which we appreciate and welcome, to the 15th, so that we do not contribute to the spread of the virus. We all know that the virus is spread by humans, and therefore, to have over 400,000 workers going to different workplaces, many using public transport, is not a very, very good idea. And we hope that before the regulations is signed and gazetted, that dates will change, and we are trying our utmost best to be able to convince the DBE that their schedule is not a good one.
All right. Now we've established that most of the educator unions are not in favor of the new reopening dates. But for principals now, school leaders, whether you like it or not, you need to report for duty on those dates now. And I suppose this calls for a flexible and a creative leadership approach at our schools. So if you were the principal of a school today, how would you have used those extra 15 work days before the learners arrive?
Well, I would have first of all hoped that I wasn't in that position to be able to have to manage educators for 3 weeks before the learners arrive. Um, but if we do not succeed in our mission to have the dates changed, I think some of the inventive things we can do is to ensure that all classrooms are prepared, that we have orientation programs via our Zoom platforms in terms of how to deal with COVID-19 in the school context, emphasize the issue of sanitation, wearing of masks, and social distancing, making sure that all classrooms, as they are set up, have at least 1.5 meters apart. And that was done last year, 1.5 meters apart, so that we do not have infections. See how we have rotational breaks for our learners on a daily basis, so that we don't have too many learners out on the playground simultaneously. But the principals out there will say to me, but Jonavon, we've done that last year. We have perfected the system in 2020. And what are you talking about? So therefore, we would then want to see that the Department of Education runs developmental programs with our SMTs between the 25th and the 1st of February. We can use the Zoom and the Teams platforms to do professional development so that we can get all clarity. At the same time as teachers or SMTs are supposed to do the administration, as the draft gazette says, we want then the department to ensure that they appoint all the temporary teachers, make sure that they are loaded on Purcell, so that at the end of the month they receive their salary. In terms of the teacher assistants and the public service assistants, that all of those administrative things are done, that they are appointed at the schools. Oh, I mean, I've heard horrific stories of schools in Mitchell's Plain that was turned down for applications for teaching assistants. And I'm asking myself, how is that possible? So the department needs to fix that particular matters as they're expecting the SMTs to be at school. So it's a time for creativity, a time for us to do some introspection, but important also a time for us to mourn those we have lost at our own institutions, our friends and family. So maybe a good thing would be for us to bring some psychosocial services into the schools, starting with the SMTs. We've lost a lot of our principals and deputy principals during this time.
Sure. Now, just on that issue of psychosocial support, I was going to deal with it a little later, but now that remains a huge concern for the teachers. Now, on a daily basis, if this platform, for example, reports of colleagues that we lose due to this pandemic, and otherwise, we do have comorbid teachers in our system, and so it's not just COVID that eats away at our human capital. But that most certainly has an effect on those who are left behind. I think, for example, about that child who goes to school this year and teacher is no longer there, or my mother is no longer there. And so, but more particularly in terms of the teacher wellness aspect and say psychosocial support, how are we able to address this thing? And well, we've heard that not enough is being done, but what are some practical examples or ways in which one can address this issue?
Oh, that's a very difficult question to answer offhand. But I think what we need to do is that all of us are grieving at this moment because we have lost loved ones, we've lost neighbors, we've lost colleagues, lost friends that we studied with. And some of us are saying that, we don't want to open Facebook anymore in the mornings because every time you open Facebook, you get sad news. You get messages that so-and-so is very ill in hospital and then someone has passed away. So it's affecting all of us. What we have to do, SADTU has a helpline through Metropolitan. I don't have the number with me now, but I can post it on Facebook page. I think that there is sometimes that we need to call a counseling hotline to be able to speak to someone, especially how to deal with our grief. The Department of Education also has the wellness helpline. And sometimes it is important to speak to someone anonymously. We can open up and share your anxieties, your fears. So we need to do that. And then, of course, the district offices. I know that our members in the districts who work in the psychological services are very few. And they also need to see how they put together some programs through the Zoom or Teams platforms with staff so that we could see how we can deal with the grief. And if we have some educators with expert skills, I think it's offered to the staff to be able to do that. But what we will do is share on your Facebook page the number which all teachers can call.
Fantastic, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. And just so also in turn from our side, we've been approached by a company called, I think it's Impilo Consulting. Now I need to meet with them at some stage because they are also wanting to offer some free counseling services to teachers in particular. But how that program is going to be unfolding, that's another story. But yeah, there's a lot of NGOs that are coming to the fore and wanting to assist because they see the need for us to be particular area. Now, Jonavon, at this stage, I just quickly want to greet some of the people that are on the stream here tonight. Welcome everybody on the Facebook live stream. Thank you very much for joining in. There are so many of you. I won't be able to show every single comment, but maybe just to highlight a few. Desiree Molman says good evening. Desiree, sorry, Molman. And then Bezile Putini says, good evening, colleagues. Good evening to you. Then Bezile Putini says again, Viva Comrade Jonavon. And Roderick Brickles says, strong Comrade Jonavon Amandla. And then Ruth is telling us, Ruth America Bowles, she's watching from Plumstead. And Werner Stierman is watching all the way from Kuils River, Cape Town. Thank you. Mone Michael Press, I know Mone very well. Mone is saying, hi guys, thanks for informing community about way forward for schools and learners, as government is not doing such a good job by informing parents. I think it's perhaps, some schools are great at communicating, the information as it comes, as it's released. And, we can do a lot more in that area, Mona. I agree with you, some of us. And then Darlene says to us, good evening from Veldrift. Good evening, Darlene Snyders. Lucretia says, love my union. All right. And then there's Roderick again that says he's from the Caledon Overbrook area. Okay. And then there are so many others. I'll just maybe one more. Rueda de Val says, good evening. Grassy Park, SADTU Grassy Park branch. And then Kathy Davids, I said, weet al julle lede dat hulle as hulle afgetree binne 2 ure nie inlig van hulle aftrede. Okay, so that's weer 'n ander issue. Okay, well, thank you very much, colleagues, for joining and for engaging with us. And please feel free to keep engaging with us, as we will try to flag most of your comments as the evening goes along. Now, Jonavon, let's talk about the matric marker issue. Right now, a week or so ago, I think the DBE, they tweeted that 45,000 matric markers had combed through 14 billion scripts. And at the time, 80% of the workload had been completed. Sadly, however, I think at this stage, if my figures are correct, 7 matric markers had succumbed to the virus, and more particularly or mostly from the KZN province. Do you have a thought to spare on that particular scenario there?
No, thanks, Lee. When marking started, I can speak on the province, or in the Western Cape. So when marking started in the province, we went to monitor the marking centers. And we must commend the department that all protocols were put in place. Teachers were 4-5 in the big classroom marking. There was good ventilation, and there were posters everywhere reminding everybody of social distancing, washing hands, wearing of masks, etc. We were a bit concerned when there were tea breaks that some of the teachers were not maintaining the social distance at that particular time. But it's something that we always have to remember for ourselves. To protect yourself, you have to ensure that you at least 1.5 meters. If you can have it 2 meters from someone else, it is a measure of protecting yourself. I spoke to my colleague in KZN. Educators tested positive. We are not sure if they are tested positive in the community. Remember that we live in our communities, and then we go to our workplaces. And unfortunately, they had passed away. The Union SADTU had intervened in, I think it was Escort or the Maritzburg area, in terms of the COVID cases there. And we are deeply saddened about the passing of those particular educators. We know in the Eastern Cape that teachers were tested before they came to the centers. They were kept at the guest house. And as they got the results, if they were positive, they were asked to go into self-isolation. And those who traveled with them were in the same way. Now, there's a mammoth task to mark both the matric exams as well as the supplementary as we know it were marked together. And what we are hearing is that all is on track for the release of the examination results. And all we can do to wish all the matriculants well with the outcome of this particular matric results, and thank the teachers from our hearts for putting in so much extra work and being so dedicated to try and complete the curriculum and prepare the learners under severe circumstances. We can only take our hats off for them for the sterling job which they've done, and commend all the teachers of the country and the province for really being carers for our young people.
Sure, thank you. All right, now let's. I think when we engage on these issues, it's always. Time always is not on our side, and I think we're almost 5 to 7 minutes left, and I would have hoped that we could have delved into so many more issues here. But on the issue of the vaccine, now, the conspiracy theorists and the tracking, the 5G chips and all of this, I don't want to say nonsense because everybody is entitled to their own opinion, but what is your position when the vaccine becomes available? Will you be in that queue?
Well, I'll be first in the queue to get the vaccine. Um, my view is, this is not SADTU's view, but my view is that vaccines have been used to prevent and to ensure that we are less susceptible to a number of diseases, smallpox, measles. When we go out of the country to other countries, we have to get yellow fever inoculation and a variety of things. Now, we know that this vaccine was tested over a very short period of time. I've been reading a number of articles on the matter, which says that with the SARS virus being around, there was always an attempt to develop a particular vaccine against such a pandemic. And we note also the fears and the reports from Norway of older people with comorbidities who have passed away. Um, but Lee, I'm going to stand in the queue. I'm very grateful that they're saying that educators are the essential workers, not essential service. There's a confusion on that one. Essential workers. So it means that we are important workers for the country. And therefore, I'm going to go and get my vaccine. I've seen my medical aid. I say they'll pay for it. So I'm going to get my jab.
Okay. All right. I'm inclined to join you on that one. I see David Miller from Naptosa saying, Jonavon, I will join you in it together. And then Darren Lierke says, we'll join you, Jonavon. Is that Ingrid's husband?
That is Ingrid's husband. That's Ingrid's husband.
Okay. All right. And then Maniwe Baleta says, Amandla. All right. And then, okay. So as we plan to land this ship, Mr. Rustin, as a leader, right, how do you remain and stay motivated during a time like this? And how do you motivate those that you are responsible to lead?
Well, I think it's important to have a good network we can speak to. So, amongst our SADTU comrades, we speak to each other, and sometimes for an hour. And then in the union network, we'll speak to Dave from Naptosa, and speak to Mone Jansson from SOE, and then, of course, to your family and to your friends, and keep saying, but we always keep in the back of our minds that we have to follow the health protocols. So unfortunately, my house is a no-go zone. My sister's house has been a no-go zone since March. Well, I'm lying. Since February this year. We visit through the fence at her place. But you have to stay positive. We have overcome lots of adversities in our lives. We defeated apartheid in South Africa. There were the Spanish flu, the smallpox, and we're going to overcome particular virus. All we have to do is to be careful, take care of ourselves. Do not be scared when someone stands too close to you in the queue at ShopRite to say that, can you please step 1.5 meters back? And the person is edgy, say, you don't know if I have the virus. So therefore, protect yourself and stay away from me. But let's stay positive and let's try and do the best for our learners. I know the schools are supposed to be open. There's a lot of things that teachers are worried about. But that's why we are there as unionists. Contact us. Sometimes when we speak to each other, we are able to clarify a lot of the anxieties. But let's look after yourself. Those are the important things we must do. Let's keep me sane. And of course, television. I watch lots of TV nowadays.
Yeah. I like comedy on the other hand. I like to laugh. I think it just nurtures the soul, or it heals, it's soothing. All right. Just before we say our goodbyes, Al Cameron says vaccines for all, COVID must fall. Peter Johnson says, we are people first, compassion is key. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that one. And then Natalie Kutsia says, I won't take the vaccine unless my learners, the future, get it first for free. You want to comment on that, Jonathan?
Now, I know Natalie Kutsia, look, it's important to understand that we all should get the virus. The scientists are saying to you that the younger people are less susceptible, so therefore it's going to be a staggered approach. We're going to start with the health workers. The health workers are the frontline workers because they are dealing with the COVID patients every day. Then we are going to go further to the essential workers like your police, those working in prisons, teachers, who must be healthy to teach the learners because they are um, less susceptible, according to the scientists, and I'm not a scientist, to the virus. So therefore, we want to say to Natalie, could see reconsider that, read some of the research that is done. But it's important for us to take the vaccine so that we are there to teach our children.
All right. On that note, Jonavon, I want to thank you so much for availing yourself this evening to come and chat to us on the forum. I was enlightened and still continue to have to be with your insights that you've shared here tonight. And I wish you nothing but success as for 2021 and whatever that may hold. It's unprecedented and uncertain times, but we are, like David said, we're in it together, and so let's draw on one another. And I believe in the power of collaboration. So let us join hands and overcome this thing together.
Thank you very much, Lee. And Dave, the day that you're going for your vaccine, call me and we'll go to the same place. And Lee, to you, congratulations on your promotion. We are super proud and make us proud at your new school. And please invite me again. It was a wonderful show. And I'm available whenever there's another topic to be discussed. Thanks a lot, and have a good evening to you and to all the viewers out there.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Rustin. I really appreciate that. And I will most certainly call on you again should the need arise. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for tonight. So I'm going to play us out with Hoërskool Rustenburg's rendition of Fix You from Coldplay as we remember all our South Africans, but especially our teachers and education sector workers that we've lost since the start of this horrible killer virus. So have a great evening, stay safe, and God bless.
When you try your best, but you don't succeed. When you get what you want, but not what you need. When you feel so tired, but you can't sleep. Stuck in reverse, and the tears come streaming down your face. When you lose something you can't replace. When you love someone but it goes to waste. Could it be lights will guide you home and ignite your bones. I will try to fix you. And high up above or down below, when you're too in love to let it go. But if you never try, you'll never know. Just watch your words. Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones. I will try to fix you. On my way.
Yes, sir. So that was the end of the broadcast. Are you still there?
Yes, thank you, Lee. It was a wonderful show, and chat soon.
Yes, perfect. Speak to you soon. Cheerio.
Okay, you well. Bye bye.
Bye bye.